Good. Lemons. I think you decorated a room in your office with lemons or in your house. If you want extra lemons, I am changing my whole theme up here in the lemonade stand. I don't know what I'm going to call it next, but wanted to share with everybody. I'm going to be raffling off the painting behind me and donating it to the National Family Violence Law Center, my favorite charity, Joan Meyer, and the work she's doing to protect our kids. I continue to say that research is one of the missing pieces to, this system that was designed to be broken. And so I'm going to be raffling this off. If you want to anybody wants to make a bid on it, it's a custom painting. Gigi, yes, you decorated your screen porch with lemons. If you want some extra lemon stuff, I will mail them to you. I sent you an email yesterday. But starting bid is $150. It's a custom lemon painting that I had created from artist Ali Curtis in Florida. And all of the money, I'm going to actually have whoever ends up with the winning bid, they're going to send it directly to the National Family Violence Law Center. So if you want to bid on my painting, I was talking to my therapist recently, and with everything we've been through and the criminal trial wrapped up, she said, make a significant change in your life that signifies a new chapter. Something visible, something that is a solid, one chapter close, another starts. And so I'm redecorating and we're actually remodeling my whole office right now. So again, the painting, you can go to my blog at One Mom's Battle if you want to read more about what I'm doing and the donation. But starting bid is $150. You can email lemons to lemonade auction at gmail.com, and we'll select the winning bid at the end of September, and all 100% of that money goes to Joan Meyer at the National Family Violence Law Center. So I am Tina Swithin, author of Divorcing a Narcissist, founder of One Mom's Battle. And I'm not an attorney. I cannot give you legal advice. And this is very much a community of survivors who come together and share our collective wisdom and knowledge and support for anyone who's going through a high conflict custody situation, whether it's divorce, paternity, whatever it is, dealing with toxic people. And the combination of the family court system is something that I wouldn't wish on anyone. But I am so grateful for this community who comes together. I see a question. John, do you have any support group info for parents who have a daughter who has been abused by her ex-husband? That is a fantastic idea. We actually have so many chapters of One Mom's Battle, and they're all divided by region. And we have one for dads. We really need one for grandparents. So send me an email at ombchapters@gmail.com, and I'd love to talk to you about this. I'm actually going to be starting a LGBTQ group for parents who, face those extra challenges in the family court system. So I would love to start more groups, because I want everyone to feel supported and connected. And there are individual nuances in each of these situations that really require, that fine tuning. So let's connect on that. Heather says she sent out an Educate Your Judge packet yesterday. Fantastic. And I love that, Gigi, the interior decorator stuff. So I'm really excited about it, and I will have to, I'll send you a sneak peek, Gigi. Okay, couple of things going on that I wanted to talk about. September 9th on my Instagram, I'm going to go live at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time with Judge Anthony. Many of you already follow him. We have the opportunity to talk to him, to ask him questions. So I will be collecting questions from all of you on Instagram. So make sure you're following One Mom's Battle over there on Instagram, because that'll be a really exciting IG Live. And what else do we have on the agenda? Help me connect the dots. We have recently started a, in their best interest.com campaign where we want to hear all about the family court professionals that you have had a negative experience with, whether that's an attorney, a judge, a minors counsel, a custody evaluator. You can choose to submit it anonymously, or you can put your name on there. And I encourage you, if you are able, it'll never be shared publicly with anyone. However, if you give us your name and contact information, let's say we end up with 3 other people in your state who have had the same experience with this evaluator, we will connect all 3 of you. And because there's power in numbers, and I continue to watch these things being exposed, just like the judge in Cook County, Illinois right now, James Shapiro, who took custody from a mom. I don't want to get into a vaccine debate. I just lost my aunt because she was unvaccinated from COVID, so I do not want to get into a vaccine debate, but he overstepped big time and stripped a mom of custody. He has now reinstated her custody, but those are the situations where right now I'm trying to pull together women or men who have been affected by Judge James Shapiro, because when all of you connect, and I've watched it happen in our state chapters, the media is more likely to pick up on these stories, and then it's just not you against the whole system. It's a collective group all sharing the same experience. So please get that information to us at intheirbestinterests.com. We've also started a forum. We're keeping it very internal, but we want to connect all of the dots on the alienation players, because I have some wild guesses on where this alienation BS can all be traced back to, but we want to connect the dots and find out where the problems are, who these professionals are who are peddling this junk science. To enter that information, you need to be a part of one of our state chapters. So you can just go to ombstatechapters.com, and it will give you all of the details on how to apply. We do screen people really thoroughly to be a part of our group. So those are my housekeeping items for today. And I'm going to jump right into the questions. So the number 1 question today is, what would your next steps be if your abusive ex keeps stalling and will not sign a custody agreement? And he's fighting financials. He's fighting for 50-50. So what I can share is my perspective when I've had the opportunity to watch all of these cases play out for a decade. And what I see is people spend the most money when you're dealing with a high conflict person, a narcissist, whatever label you want to give them. Let's just call them a high conflict individual. When you're dealing with someone like that, this is a game to them. This whole arena of family court becomes their stage, and it's a feed source where, it threatens to destroy us because we hate conflict. We hate conflict at that level, and they are shining. This is their opportunity to fool everyone in the courtroom. The feed they get off of it is so disgusting, and it's hard for any of us to grasp. So what I'll say is I see people spend the most money negotiating with these people behind the scenes. If I could go back in time, let's say I had an attorney, I go back to 2009 when my battle started, I would be full speed ahead putting it in front of the court. Okay, radical acceptance, it's a broken system. It was designed that way. But that would be one of my first, managing my expectations about the system, practicing radical acceptance that yes, it is broken, but it will financially and emotionally and psychologically probably destroy me trying to negotiate with a terrorist behind the scenes. So I would want to fast track it to court because that's where I see all the money spent is in negotiations. It's really almost impossible to negotiate with this type of person unless you're willing to give them everything they want. And I do see people who say, "Great, I'll give you all of the businesses, all of the property, all the financials. All I want is the kids." And they go into it projecting their own positive characteristics and qualities and traits onto the other party. And what happens in those situations a lot of times is that the ink is dry, you have the kids, they have all the stuff, the material stuff that they want. The next week they go and file for 50-50 custody. So now you've lost everything. And now you're threatened with losing your kids 50% of the time. So you have to be careful in those situations. And that's where having an attorney that is so skilled on this type of person is absolutely critical. So, the negotiations behind the scenes, it's a scary, attorneys, if they don't get this type of person, yeah, they'll try to negotiate. They're making a lot of money trying to do that, but it's rarely successful. So just keep those things in mind when you are navigating that type of situation. Number 2 question, post-separation abuse. For those of you who haven't seen, we have a whole new post-separation abuse wheel. I want to give a huge shout out to a few people. I cannot take full credit for that. Kimberly, she runs the Instagram account, A Case for ACE, for the ACE study. Rebecca McCone, coaching. She is a graduate from my program, my high conflict divorce coach training program. She was instrumental in helping. Ursa Major, coaching out of San Diego. She was also a graduate of my program. The custody piece, movement of mothers. We all came together. We collaborated. My logo just happens to be on it. Because it was my wheel to start with, but they have helped me to fine tune it and really make it powerful. So you can see that at postseparationabuse.com if you are unsure of what we're talking about. But how do you get the harassment to end without spending tons on an attorney? This is where profiling your ex comes in so heavily. It's a lot of what I talk about in my coach training program. It is truly the foundation of the program because the advice I give to Gigi would be completely different from the advice on that topic that I give to Autumn or Elisa or anybody else whose name's Dawn. It depends on who you're up against, what their buttons are, what their triggers are. And that's where working with a coach can be so helpful because when we're in the thick of it, I have a court date next week to go up against, try to get my files back from minors counsel who won't give them to me. And I'll tell you, I got super triggered when I got the email about the court date on September 7th. So even me, with all of my knowledge, all of my experience, all of my education, I see something about my case pop up on that court calendar and it spun me. I I had a moment. I had a bunch of hours, actually. So that's where, when it's our own kids, when it's our own case, it can be really challenging to get into the strategy mindset because we have trauma. PTSD is debilitating. So the first thing I would say is connect with somebody, whether it's a coach from my training program. Those you can find at myhighconflictdivorcecoach.com. So whether it's one of my coaches, whether it's somebody in your community or a friend or a family member who really can help you to profile the type of person that you're up against and shut off their feed supply anywhere and everywhere you can, disengaging. It's the gray rock mentality, but for presentation purposes for court, we have to be of the yellow rock mindset. If you don't know what that is, you can search for it here on my YouTube channel. I've done videos on yellow rock communication. And so Autumn says, I would love to connect with anyone who is dealing with the VA. Yeah, those are extra challenges. So going back to that, it really, really depends on who you are up against. And so that would be my first step, is to create a profile of this person. Where is your leverage? For most of them, it's the financial button. But just like the situation I described previous to that, so here's an example of where, if you were going to give up all of the financials to secure your kids, my strategy would be making sure that my attorney, or talking to my attorney about safeguarding my case, so that if I agreed to give up all of these things, we could not revisit custody for 3 years. Or whatever it is, something written into the final orders that says we can't touch this. If this is what we agree to, custody is not open for negotiations for X amount of years. They're not going to do it indefinitely, is my guess. Check with your attorney on that for sure. But, that post-separation abuse and putting an end to it. Sometimes, when the other toxic person is really spinning out of control and they are on a massive high, our boundaries end up being our own with ourselves. And for me, that may look like, I'm not going to check my emails except for 3 times a week. I'm going to disable the notifications that come up on our family wizard on my phone. If your attorney doesn't say you have to have that app on your phone, I would not have it on my phone, because every time that message notification goes off, that's a trigger. And that can completely derail you for an hour or 8 hours, depending on who you are and what your trauma history is. So a lot of the times, we hear so much about boundaries with the other person, but the boundaries that have been most helpful for me are the boundaries that I set with myself. And maybe that comes to your documentation. If you are constantly 7 days a week in documentation mode, how do you ever get reprieve from this battle? So that's where I would put 3 days on my calendar, or 1 day on my calendar a week, whatever it is for you. And I would say, Thursday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. is my day to work on documentation. And then if Wednesday a thought came into my head, I would write it down on my calendar and I would let it go. Our boundaries need to be with ourselves so this battle doesn't consume us. I just did a OMB challenge on our Instagram and Facebook account the other day. And it's, I find hearts everywhere in the world, in my blueberry, in my rocks that I see on the sidewalk, in the sidewalk, those little reminders that there is good in the world, there's light, there's love. We can easily be consumed by this battle. And so looking for the positives and filling our tanks with all of those things so we don't get depleted from this. So That's kind of the disengaging, finding leverage, and finding a strategy partner to help you with that post-separation abuse. We've made a big push recently to connect with domestic violence shelters to help them understand post-separation abuse. I encourage you, here's your call to action. Send the post-separation abuse wheel to your domestic violence shelters. Introduce them to, this is what your clients are going to experience when they walk into the court system. Because I know, speaking personally, when I was at the women's shelter, nobody told me that there was a whole new chapter of abuse to look forward to. I remember just thinking I did all the right things. I left. My kids and I are free. This is a whole new blank chapter. And I wasn't prepared for the post-separation abuse that sets in. Helen says, how do you maintain those boundaries in an email when you have an ex who sends messages with very little notice with deadlines? So I would be, I'm big on communicating with these people, not with the him or her, but because the court, we're both under a microscope with the court. So in that situation, I would send my ex an email and I would say, moving forward, I will be checking emails on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9 a.m. And so if there's anything time sensitive, please send it to me with enough advance notice, so that you've communicated and then his games get exposed if he's sending that. And I am big on taking all of the emails from attorneys, family court professionals, my ex, and having a completely separate email address. Even if you use Our Family Wizard for your ex, compartmentalize all of the rest of it into an email account that's designated for those people or this whole world of family court, because you don't want to open up your email and you're expecting to see, the latest sale at Macy's or, what Target or whatever, and you're derailed by an email from your ex. You want to view your Target ads without triggers. So compartmentalize those emails so that when you go to check them, you're in control. It's it's within your power. So that's my little rant on that. Question number 3, how can I best advocate and become part of the solution? I'm in the beginning stages of my legal battle. So I will warn you, when you are in the beginning stages of your battle, yes, as long as you aren't getting pulled into other people's stories, you have to have boundaries. I tell my clients all the time, when they're in the thick of it, stay off my social media pages. Especially the Facebook page, the One Mom's Battle Facebook page, where we're constantly sharing stories and you see the horrors that other people are going through. You need to protect yourself and your case, and your kids need you to be rock solid and devoted and focused to them. So education is critical, but there's a point where it can become too much when it is starting to wear on you, and I keep in mind, I hear success stories all the time from my clients, from my followers, OMB members. They are out there. You don't hear about them as much, but they do happen. So I wish there was more balance in the stories that we hear about. So I caution people, even like with my coach training program, when I have people who sign up for the program and they're just starting their battle, I'll warn them, you're not in a place to hold space for other people. Your kids need you 100% devoted and focused on protecting them. So be careful with that. That's my little disclaimer. Advocacy in general, I invite you to get involved with the new movement that we've just created, and that's with Custody Peace. And if you aren't following her on Instagram, please do. It's the peace sign, Custody Peace, and Movement of Mothers. You can Google the press release we just filed with the UN for violation of human rights in the family court system. We're doing some big things, and you can find our advocacy group by going to my Instagram profile, click the little link in my bio, and then it'll take you to a whole drop-down menu with all kinds of resources. One of those resources is our advocacy group, and it's, I think the title of it there is CP for Custody Peace and OMB Advocacy Group. I invite you to join us. If you're looking for support, again, join one of your OMB state chapters. Those are more dedicated to support. So the public OMB Facebook page has everyone commenting, and not all of those commenters are emotionally healthy or helpful. Absolutely. That is such a good point. You know, sometimes I know more about something that's behind the scenes on a case, and then when I see the person post their horror stories, you know, there's a lot of trauma in the survivor community. There's also some pathology in the survivor community. And so don't take stories and situations at face value. And, you know, that's not to... Everybody's experience and trauma is important and significant, and I validate that, but sometimes we don't know what's gone on behind the scenes, and there's more to the story. So I really appreciate, Gigi, you putting that out there, because, you know, it's easy to, you know, to get sidetracked and to get, you know, caught up in the fear-based thinking. Try to keep your tank full. Try to keep yourself positive, hopeful. You know, I don't know how I would have survived my battle if I didn't have, you know, if I wasn't refilling my tank. I had dark days. I had really, you know, days where I got slammed hard, and I didn't know if I could continue fighting the battle. You know, I was depleted. And then you refill your tank and you dust yourself off and try again. I see a comment, how do I send a judge your packet? Educateyourjudge.com. That's our, we've completely removed it from the One Mom's Battle website and rebranded it under a new name, because I fear that when judges see it and it says One Mom's Battle, they're going to automatically chalk us up to a mom's rights organization, and we are very child focused. I am very against parental rights, and I'm very focused on kids' rights. We are wrapping up. My very last plug for the day. It is Family Court Awareness Month in November. We are redoing the website right now, familycourtawarenessmonth.com. But in the meantime, go to the One Mom's Battle page, click on our blog, read the recent call to action about getting involved. We need to make your community aware that there's a problem in family court. Most communities, people have no idea that we have a problem in family court. I invite you to let that sit in for a minute, because this is our lives and we get it, but most don't. So we're starting with proclamations. Thank you, Randy. We are starting with proclamations. You can reach out to your mayor, ask them for a proclamation. I've created a template email for you. All you have to do is cut and paste it, send it to your mayor, CC me on the email. I will help with the communication. You can remain anonymous. I will even, there's my alarm, I have to take my kids to school. I will even try to attend the virtual proclamation, giving of the proclamation at a city hall event in your community if it works with my calendar. But please, please, please get involved. Let's put this on the map in cities all over the United States and let people know, hey, we have a problem and we need to listen. And then we're going to give you press releases we can send to your local media to talk about the proclamation. Lots of exciting things happening, but we need you to get involved. Thank you so much, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy September. Take care.